Vice President Mike Pence, Democratic vice presidential nominee Senator Kamala Harris face off tonight in Salt Lake City for the first and only VP debate. We know from history two very different debating styles.
You know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools, and she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Donald Trump has built a business through hard times and through good times. He's brought an extraordinary business acumen.
Let's discuss the stakes with Ian Sams, former press secretary for the Kamala Harris 2020 presidential campaign, and Alice Stewart, a Republican strategist. Ian, I want to start with you because this is such a big moment. Mike Pence, no offense to him, he is well known to the American people. He's been the vice president for 4 years. Senator Harris, in many ways here, is getting a national introduction and a chance to present herself as the new face of the National Democratic Party, number 2 to Joe Biden, but an enormous moment. Speaker Nancy Pelosi had some advice this morning. Listen.
I think that tonight in the debate it should be all about health care, health care, health care. It should be about health care in terms of Mike Pence being the head of the task force on the coronavirus. Really? What level of success does he have to offer in that regard?
Is that good advice for Senator Harris and her focus?
Yeah, I think Speaker Pelosi hit the nail on the head. She's been around long enough to know exactly what resonates with the American people. And I think in this moment, and what you're going to see in the debate tonight, is really a referendum on President Trump and Mike Pence's leadership on coronavirus. I think that the point has been made even clearer with the president coming down with this virus himself, that there's been just rampant irresponsibility and a complete lack of ability to control this pandemic and the outbreaks. And so I think what Senator Harris is going to do is talk about that failure, prosecute the case, so to speak, against Mike Pence's leadership of the coronavirus task force, and really force him to answer some uncomfortable questions about the way that they've misled the public and had false promises since March. But not just that, she's going to have to also talk about how President Biden, if he is successful, and Vice President Harris, if they win, will get us out of this mess. And I think that that contrast is going to be front and center, and obviously the American people's health care is at the center of that.
And so, Alice, you wrote a piece on CNN.com. This is your op-ed talking about the stakes for the vice presidential debate. There are always 3 main goals of any vice presidential debate: do no harm, reinforce the top of the ticket, and pass the commander-in-chief test. I want to ask you, given the numbers, you know the national numbers quite well, you know the battleground numbers quite well, does Mike Pence not have an even bigger task tonight, which is to try to turn something around in this race, which 27 days is a long time. We all lived through 2016. But if you look at the numbers right now, the Republicans are worried about a bloodbath.
Well, certainly, one thing about Mike Pence, he's not a barn burner when it comes to debates, but he is calm and reassuring, and he can certainly pass the commander-in-chief test in his ability to step into the role as president. But the goal tonight is not so much to make this about a referendum on the Trump administration, but show the American people the stark contrast between a Trump administration and a Biden-Harris administration. Because if you look at Joe Biden, look, we're looking at government-run health care, we're looking at socialized medicine, we're looking at support for Green New Deal, we're looking at where does he stand on the Supreme Court? Will he pack the court? He's not answering that question. What will they do with the filibuster? And then in the off chance and the possibility, if Kamala Harris were to step into this role, look at her record. What was she saying on the Democratic debate stage? She was the co-sponsor for the Green New Deal. She was co-sponsor for Medicare for All. A lot of her policies are far outside of what the mainstream America wants. So what the Biden-Harris administration ticket would represent is exactly what Mike Pence needs to put the spotlight on tonight, because it is not what the American people want. And I think he has the debate skills and the tone and tenor that will certainly be appropriate to make that case tonight.
I think given everything happening in the country, they're likely to have a larger audience than we might expect for a VP debate. We asked each of you for a favorite debate moment from these contenders to try to illustrate what you're looking for tonight. Ian, this is what you picked for Senator Harris.
This not only points to the corrupt nature of this administration and the need for these impeachment proceedings to go forward, but it also points to another issue, and back to the question that you asked earlier, which is, what does this mean for the American people? For those working people who are working 2 and 3 jobs, if they don't pay that credit card by the end of the month, they get a penalty. For the people who don't pay their rent, they get evicted. For the people who shoplift, they go to jail. We need the same set of rules for everybody.
Alice, this is what you picked for Mike Pence.
She said they were irredeemable. They were not America. I mean, it's extraordinary. And then she laid one after another ism on millions of Americans who believe that we can have a stronger America at home and abroad, who believe we can get this economy moving again, who believe that we can end illegal immigration once and for all. So, Senator, this insult-driven campaign, I mean, that's small potatoes compared to Hillary Clinton calling half of Donald Trump's supporters a basket of deplorables.
Ian Sams, Alice Stewart, I wish we had more time, but we're going to have to leave it there for today. But very interesting to see, especially that table, the Kaine-Pence debate. We're not going to get that because of the coronavirus. They're going to be 12 feet apart. There's going to be plexiglass. A lot to watch tonight. We'll bring you back to talk about it another day. Appreciate it. For both of you, still ahead.